Welcome to Off the Rickshaw, the podcast where three South Asian millennials slow down, speak up, and sound off. We're not here to decode our culture for clicks. We're here to live it, question it, roast it, lovingly. From generational trauma to Google Calendar friendships, auntie logic to existential spirals, this is where heritage meets hot takes. Today's episode is all about finances. Saving, spending, side hustling, and surviving in a world where we were taught to be grateful, but not always taught how to budget. Why do so many of us go broke at weddings but flinch when it comes to therapy bills? How do we talk money with parents who treat it like a state secret? And what does financial freedom even look like when your wallet's stuck between two worlds? So if you've ever negotiated your salary like it was your Rishta proposal, or hid your UberEats bill like it was contraband, this one's for you. So let's hop in. Take a seat. This is Off the Rickshaw. We're out here actually doing the most. We tried to do something different. We are today in a studio makeshift, aka Hussein's childhood bedroom, which probably has a lot of memories in itself.
Hence the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. This is episode 2. Well, actually 3 if you don't include the intro. Yeah. And we wanted to switch it up. I know every episode we've been getting good feedback from different people that we love, telling us, what works, what isn't working. Usually the other two podcasts we don't know actually what the future of like how we record is going to look like, but we tried the virtual. We tried, we're now trying the in-person and let us know what you think you can vibe with or resonate with the most. As I mentioned, today's topic is finances, but to just kick it off, I think it's going to be important for us to create the baseline. So what is it? What does the word finance or financing or financial freedom mean to you guys?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll start it off. I think financial freedom is a very popular word that I'm hearing these days, and that can look very differently to different people. To me, what that looks like is being able to do what you want, living freely, like independent from any expectations out there. I know a lot of people who want to retire early. That's not me. Like, I want to work.
Oh, you want to keep working till retirement?
I want to keep working.
That's how my dad feels too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I talked to him. He's like, I don't want to ever stop working.
Yeah, because it's your passion. If you're truly passionate about your job.
Except for him, it's not passion.
Okay. So then
for him, it's the only thing he knows how to do really well.
Fair.
Our parents' generation is like that.
Yeah, for them it's just like work hard, build up the wealth, and pass it on to the generation. Right?
Well, I don't even think it's passed on, bro. It's like just survive this state, of this life. Like, I don't think my parents started working to think like, oh, I'm gonna create generational wealth for Mubin. Like, I really don't think that was the take.
Yeah, that's so different from my parents. Because my parents are just like, let me accumulate wealth. You enjoy this.
That's what.
Yeah, and I hear that from a lot of people, but yeah, that's not for me. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, no, for me, it's interesting because growing up, your parents are. My parents were always like, money doesn't grow on trees, and this house is all we have, and kind of really made me very conscious about money. So, I mean, for people who don't know me, I'm extremely cheap. So I've gotten this this cheap attitude because my parents...
Okay, you can call him cheap. We've come to learn and love him as being prudent.
It's a better word.
Super cheap. I hate spending money. It hurts me. It actually hurts me. Unless it's for a vacation or something.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's actually a good thing because I feel like nowadays in society, more people are very quick to spend. I feel like people who are prudent, it's a rare commodity nowadays, and you need more people who are smarter.
Yeah, anywhere I can cut costs or spending, I will do that. I try and save as much as I can. Yeah. But then the problem with me is I don't know what to do with that excess money. I think that's why
that's where we're gonna get into.
We'll get into in a bit. But for me, growing up, it's always been about saving and that mindset of saving.
Yeah.
Whereas Soraya, my wife, is very much about spending. So like
It's a good balance,
we have a
though,
good
right?
balance actually.
It's the yin and yang.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But for me also financial freedom, I agree. It's like just having the freedom to spend and not like worry about like, oh, like what's gonna happen to me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's somewhere where I think everyone would like to be. I don't think I don't know if you guys are there. I'm not there because like, you know, I worry every month about, you know, mortgage and all of that stuff. So I don't think I'm anywhere near financial freedom. But
It's a process.
It is a
but
process.
I've learned, you know, like you could literally die tomorrow. Like what are you going to take with you? Like that money's not going anywhere with you. So I'm starting to kind of like let go on a few things, but it's a process.
It's a process. I think to me the term finance generally, I actually never understood it until later in life, and I want to say like later teens. I want to say like late teens. 16, 17 is when I started to understand what money was tangibly, when I started to earn it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, snap, I got to spend my own money. Like, is that how it works? Because before, I mean, I think I grew up in a very like, you know, middle income, and I think most of us, like all of us did, I think, right? A very middle income family where like, you know, our parents had rent to pay or mortgages to pay, groceries mattered. Not all of our parents are white collar, so a lot of it was labor jobs. Like by labor jobs, I mean like actually using your feet and your legs and going out in the bus in the morning, not having the privilege of taking a car. And then working hard in italics, and we'll break what that means later on, but working hard in order to bring back the income in order to support the rest who lived in that house. And so, you know, there were moments in my childhood where I wanted things but I couldn't get them, and there were two ways that I went about it. It was either I ask and then I get a no, or it was I ask and I get a yes. But if I got a no, it was like, you know, a lecture behind it. So it was like, oh, we're doing all this is not enough, you know. But if it was a yes, it was probably because they saw that I wasn't asking for it and that I really wanted it. And so it was that for my parents, it was like that underlying tone that, you know, even though we're working hard, we should give our kids kind of some form of a, you know, a gift or a token. And at the end of the day, they knew what I wanted. Like I vividly remember, like there was a Zellers in Thorncliffe when we used to live there. There was a Zellers there. Shout out Zellers. And I was about, I want to say 12, 13, and it was the PSP that was that first electronic handheld, you know, that I got.
The good days.
And so I really, really vividly remember going to Zellers with my parents, and I didn't know why we were going, but they got me a PSP. And I always wanted it, but I never told them that I wanted it because I knew that it was expensive and that every day they didn't tell me that they were working hard, but I would see it, right? Like, so when they got that for me, that was like a big deal for me. So I was like, yo, okay, this is cool. I think they're catching the vibe, like they're catching the drift.
But like I think
of what it is.
That's interesting because as kids and teenagers, we don't really like. I certainly didn't appreciate how hard my parents worked, and like at that time, right? Like you don't know like the struggles that they had to go through, and at that time you were just very like it was selfish, where it was like, no, I want this or I want that, and then if you didn't get it, you get upset about it. But then you're like, you don't understand like the why behind it. But now as you've grown older, you've like, oh shit, like my parents were like struggling at the time and they couldn't afford it. But so now I kind of get like what the, you know, why they did what they did.
Absolutely. But like fast forward now, if you were to ask me what's financial freedom is basically finding that happiness within yourself without money being the reason why. So, you know, it's going on a trip, but not thinking about how you spend it. Right. It's, you know, living under a shelter, but not thinking about if you're going to have it tomorrow or, you know, so it's like these type of things where you can find that inner happiness, but not only inner, I think it's like material happiness too. Yeah. So material happiness, spiritual happiness, and not knowing that money is what you're depending on in order to get through another day, right? Feeling free from that.
Do you feel like when growing up in school, like, do you think the education system, like they didn't do a good enough job of teaching us about like finances and stuff?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so I don't know how it is nowadays. Like, you guys can probably speak more to it, but like, because I went to school a lot earlier than you guys. But like, back in my day, they definitely had
the Jurassic period.
Yeah, the Jurassic period.
Like
a whole 5 years before you guys. But
I have more white hair than this guy. That's the weird part.
Yo, Serena, what do you think this guy?
No, but yeah, in my days, they definitely didn't have that at all.
Yeah, for us, like, it was the same, like, no, like, information at all on, like, RSPs or, like, where to put, like, or the stock market or, you know, investing in real estate. None of that, like, information.
Just forget about real estate. Like, you didn't even know the difference between saving money and spending money.
They don't give you any
like that, just that basic differential, right? Like, money in money out? Like, what does that mean?
It was all theory based, like off theorists, like from like the 60s, 70s. Like it was nothing like tangible that you could use like today.
Sure,
right?
and like it's to your point, it's like how much should you be saving and how much should you be spending? Because nowadays you hear like the whole, the 60-30-10 principle.
Yeah.
So it's like that stuff wasn't prominent back then. Like how you should be spending money. We were talking about ChatGPT for
Right.
travel, but I'm seeing now where you can put your salary into ChatGPT and just be like, give me a breakdown of how much I should be saving, how much I should be spending on rents. It's crazy now. Like,
you can break down the categories of how you spend your money, and it'll tell you, like, out of those basic categories, what are you spending, what are you saving, where should you put your stuff?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, generally, to think about it, like, at what age or what life stage did you start realizing that okay, I should start saving? Like, when was that moment for you? And
so for me, I've always been a saver. I think just recently I've shifted between a saver to a spender. I made that switch.
Well, let's go a little deeper. Like, what did saving mean to you? Like, what was that?
Saving meant to me just not spending on wants.
Okay.
Like the things that I would spend on were only needs, and even those were like very minor expenses.
And do you feel like you were vigilant on that even when you were in your younger teens? Because I feel like that's that life stage where it's like you want everything. Like you see Jordans, you want Jordans.
No,
If you yeah, or like you wanted a timepiece, like you saw someone wearing a watch, you wanted to get that watch. Like the early teens is that one where you're very weak, right? You just so when like do you feel like you were vigilant at that time?
Yeah, I think in high school.
What made you vigilant is also the kind of question after.
I think in high school was the time where I was like, oh, that person has that, I want that. I think for me it was jerseys. I always wanted jerseys, and people were rocking jerseys, so I'm like, I want that. And even though like they were pretty expensive, like even replica jerseys back then were like $100.
Yeah.
And like thinking about it now, like if I could go back in time and tell my younger self, I'd be like, yo, don't spend your money on that. You know, like your parents are barely making ends meet, and you're asking for hundreds of dollars in jerseys. So to me, it was high school was the period where like it was like just looking at other people. But then slowly, I think, as you said, like when I had my first job, then I learned the value of $1, and then I became more of a saver. And then throughout college and then after college, I was very much living prudently. And then when I started making better income, then I learned to treat myself. So that was my journey.
What was like? When did you first realize or the definition of saving? Really?
So it's funny because like for me, I've always been like a saver. Like that's always been my mentality. For me, my problem was like spending it, like or like knowing where to put it, right? Because growing up, I was never really like super materialistic. Maybe I wanted like a new game or something, but I didn't care about.
This guy was the most stylish guy. They're rocking the sickest shades. The nicest necklaces. This guy had the best caps.
That was like Hollister
Yo,
stuff.
get out of here! Get out of here!
But back then, that was like high end stuff.
No, but you at that point you were probably also not spending your money.
Yeah, exactly. It was not mine. So I was like, that was good.
So the prudency. This is where the prudency comes.
So when it became my money,
there we go.
then I was like,
and then you saw him in like ripped socks, like, broken ripped pants,
my sweatpants. Wearing jean joggers everywhere. For me it was when it became about spending my money, then I became like super like cheap and frugal. Like,
that's the commonality with all three of us. That like when it came to us, like
when you realized
we all had that point where we all realized the value of $1.
Yeah. And I think the first major leap I took when I actually spent money was my first investment in real estate. When our friend Ali Corvalli, he's a real estate agent, like asked me to partner with him on buying a unit. And at first I said no because I was like terrified of like spending like so much money. And I had that mentality where it's like at that time I was very naive where it's like I'm putting all this money in a down payment into something, but I don't like it's like where's that money going? Like
or when am I getting it back?
When am I getting it back? Like I'm spending all this money and it's like I'm not seeing any returns. And then obviously he was walking me through it's going to build equity and all that and whatnot over the years and it'll accumulate in wealth. But like at that age, you don't really like you don't see it, you don't
know.
think that way, right?
Yeah.
So at first I said no and I declined him. So then it took him 2 or 3 years to convince me.
Yeah.
And then finally I took a leap in like I think it was like 2019 or 2018, just before COVID. That's when we bought our first unit, but together. And then that's when it was like my real first leap into like actually spending. But like before that, I was like, if it was not my money, I was okay with it. But when it became my money, I was like, absolutely not. I'm not spending it in any.
So I feel like from what you're talking, there's a little bit of unlearning that you had to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's one of the biggest. I think, in my opinion, at least, that's one of the when it comes to personal finance, that's the biggest barrier that you have to overcome. Like, you can continue being like or carrying the same spirit as some of our parents did in the past, where it was make it and spend it only on what you need to. That's going to help you in survival mode. Right? But then these luxuries, like putting into real estate, putting into the stock market, putting into a company through angel investing, whatever these things are, these are luxuries, number one. And for us, in our generation, we have to get over a barrier of actually being like, all right, I'm going to be putting in a big amount of money and not looking back.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I lose it, if it goes down, that's the risk. That's the name of the game. And if it goes up, then, well, amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about that. Like you just right now said that it took you maybe 2 to 3 years in order to tell yourself that, you know what, I need to do this.
Yeah, it took me a while.
There were probably external forces that, that we don't really talk about.
Yeah.
That were probably like on your back.
Yeah.
Guiding you to be like, you need to do this.
Yeah.
You need to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to assume, but like some of those forces could be, starting your own family.
Yeah.
Right. And that you need some form of wealth to support your future family. Some could be, I need to get I'm going to put my investment into this home. I live in an apartment. I want to go into a bigger home. And so if I combine those two, I can get a, what were some of your, one of those pressures that
That's a good question.
We don't really see them, but they're there.
So it's a good question, but for me, it was about my parents.
Yeah.
Because my parents are older. They're like, actually right now they're like, in their almost, I think they're 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the time I knew that they were starting to age, especially at that time. And, they were going through their own health challenges and whatnot. So I kind of knew that I had to do something where it's like, if I needed to pull money from something, that I would have it in case, like, for an emergency for my parents. I wasn't like married at the time. I wasn't in a serious relationship or anything. So it wasn't anything to do with like.
And just for the audience, this investment that you made in the unit was pre-marriage or after marriage?
It was pre. Yeah, it was pre. So at that time, I wasn't in any serious relationship or anything. So my main focus was just like, I was seeing my parents struggle with some health-related issues at that time. So it's like, how can I kind of be in a way to support them? And that was my main factor that actually pushed me. It wasn't Ali, so he can say whatever he wants. But
and side note, he will be joining us in a future episode.
Yeah, he will.
To talk about real estate and what that means in today's world and for our generation. But kind of going back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so I mean, he did have an influence and whatnot, but it was mostly for just because I wanted to make sure my parents were taken care of, and that's still the goal with every investment that I do. It's like it's not for me; it's like to take care of people that like I care about. Yeah. So
or even that's generational wealth
or future generations.
Right, like our parents may have not thought about that because their priorities was just survival mode. But for us, I think for them having built the foundation, we're now building kind of the first few buildings, and then our future generations will probably build the city, right? And so I guess it's that stepwise process. Kind of, what was it like for you at that point?
Yeah, for me,
for your first big investment.
For me, actually, like I was very late in the game. Like for you guys, I'm hearing like you guys started your journey.
Okay, so, relative. What's late in the game?
Yeah, so for me, like I started investing in my mid-20s. So
I was early 20s. I was like 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first opened a TFSA, which is pretty late.
I feel like now things are getting earlier and earlier. I hear kids nowadays are like starting in their
way early
in high school now.
Dude, parents are doing it for them. Yeah. I'm seeing now parents start like saving accounts for their kids before they're even born.
Oh wow!
Like so, I mean, there's a change in in
mindset. Yeah. So like for me, like my parents weren't very educated on savings or investing.
Yeah.
Well, they knew that savings were important, but it was the investing piece that I didn't have any knowledge in. But my friends, they started to get into that, and they kept telling me. I had a couple friends would just be like, "Oh, you got to invest in the stock market," and to me, I was like, yeah, sure, that's great, but I didn't know where to start. There was so many barriers. Like, what do I invest in? How do I know what to invest in?
Set the scene for us. So at that
Okay.
point, when you're like, what is it? Would you say mid?
Yeah,
Or
let's say 25.
mid 20s. Like at that time, the way that brokerage is now, like with Wealthsimple, Questrade, like all these like ready to go
Yeah.
platforms, they weren't
I don't
there
think
at that
so.
time.
I don't
Those
think so.
brokerage, so you had your bigger banks
Yeah.
doing those or selling those products,
Yeah.
and you had to navigate that as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. And it's managing the platform, like how
Yeah.
do I register? Like I didn't even know about web broker. Like now there's like so many apps and stuff.
Yeah.
But like back then you had to learn it all yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I had to do my own research.
Yeah.
Now like Wealthsimple
Yeah.
really makes it simple to invest. So
yeah, it does. Yeah.
Speaking about age and like early investing, do you guys feel like there was a certain FOMO that oh shit, I'm too late, or I missed the boat, or I'm missing the boat?
100%.
Like I felt that way. Like even though I feel like I did it in my 22, 23, and that was also because I got a job as a teller at Scotiabank right after just as I was ending my fourth year. And so when I was there in that environment, everyone's talking about it. So I was like, wait, I should do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, honestly, and that was that pivotal moment for me, because otherwise, if I didn't do that teller job, I don't know if I would have opened those products. I'm gonna like straight up, like I don't know.
Sense,
I don't know. But because I was at that place at that right time, I then opened a product, did very small, $25 every paycheck, twice a month, kept doing it. That account is still on and active, but that was my first product that I got. But even at that time, I was like, damn, maybe I should start at 18. And I think for a lot of our viewers, that actually might be a thing, right? Like I think our inner greed is always gonna be like, damn, I could have made more money, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But how are you guys thinking about this?
Yeah, like I only got into the stock market like in investing and like ETFs and stuff like literally within the last 3 years.
Yeah.
3-4 years. Like I was very late to the party. And the only reason is because I had FOMO. Like every time like we were in our friend circle, you guys were all talking about it, and I'm like, maybe I should like look into it. Like I had real estate investment, but I didn't have like that investment.
Though.
So
that's
significant. Like I had to learn everything myself, like just countless hours on YouTube. And as it is, like it's my money. I didn't want to spend it. I was like, man, this is like scaring me. So I spent a lot of time like researching YouTube.
But Hussein, talk about that a little bit. Like when you say that was scaring me, because a lot of people do get scared.
Yeah.
Because when you have one source of income coming in, and you got to pay for your rent, you got to pay for your food, you got to pay for all these different things, and life is expensive now.
Yeah.
Even taking $25 out it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal. And
so talk about that.
Yeah, I was terrified because it's like it's something I don't know much about, and I don't want to put all my money and then lose it, and then that's like a big fear, right? That's that fear of loss.
Yeah.
And then you don't see that money, and it's like it's not a small amount that you're putting in. So once I was able to educate myself and get enough knowledge, and I felt comfortable doing it, only then I kind of made an educated decision. Okay, this is where I'm going to put my money into.
Yeah.
And I ended up realizing that for me, it wasn't in trading in individual stocks and stuff. Like I don't have the patience for that. I don't have the time for that. I know there are people like who do, and God bless you. But for me, it's like I just want to set it and forget it. Like I don't want to care about it. I don't want to worry about it. I just want to put something in there and know that it's growing or accumulating in the background, and I don't have to worry about it. So that was just that's my investment strategy and my way of doing things. I'm just literally in one ETF on Wealthsimple, and I literally just add to it literally every month or every other month when I can afford it with my budget. But that's kind of like how my journey's been. I've actually been really happy with it. Like I don't think I don't think I personally need to do anything more, but I don't know about you, Samir.
I think
that's comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that I don't think there's one right way in doing it.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
you said you started off with real estate. I think that's investing in itself.
Yeah,
like,
of course. Yeah.
You started with the stock market 3 years ago, but you really started your investment journey earlier on.
Right.
For me, coming back to your question about the fear of missing out. I said I started in my mid-20s. I was able to pay off my school loans in my early 20s, but I think there was a period where I was waiting. I delayed for a few years, and I think the mindset, especially at that time, was, oh, there's going to be a recession coming, so you gotta time the market, and that was one of my mistakes, is timing the market.
Yeah.
You can never time the market.
Never.
Time in the market is better than timing the market.
Yes,
that's critical for people who don't know what that means. Maybe just say that slower and break that down.
So time in the market is better than timing the market. So what that means is that even if you can never pinpoint the lowest point of the market, it's almost impossible to do that. So the point is just get in, whether you're at the lowest point, highest point, midpoint, wherever, because the stock market will only go up. And so in 30 years from now, you'll look back at the point you invested in and it'll look like such a small dot from where you were. These minor percentages will be like very minor. So
and so another thing, just for listeners who are maybe haven't invested or anything, is there a certain amount that you need to put in order to be active in investing in stock market or ETF specifically?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, the thing is, like, there are fees with investing. You know, every transaction, it costs a certain amount. If you're doing it through a bank, it's typically, I think, $10. I don't know how much it is on Wealthsimple.
Well, so there's no.
Oh, there's none? Okay, so perfect.
You can put that in.
Yeah.
But like, I think you can put $1.
Yeah, you can put
right?
$1.
And so I guess the main fundamental thing here is that you just need to have a mindset that when I do put out savings on the side, maybe I can put $1 out of the $10 that I save. So $9 in your, savings account, your regular savings account, and then $1 in your high interest or, stock exchange in order to see more return quicker that way. So it's all about that mind change, the mind shift where, I need to take a risk in order to see a return. But the question is, are you comfortable with that risk? Right? And do you have that in you?
Yeah, definitely. Coming back to like my point of like the whole fear of missing out. And so like there was that whole 3-year span, 4-year period where I was just like, I'm trying to time the market. And in the meantime, all my friends are investing. And then looking back at it, I was like, oh, I should have just invested. Because like now I'm trying to try to get that same price that they got, but it will never get back there.
Never get back.
And so I always had that fear of missing out.
Did you I know you've been in it for a few years. What mistakes did you make?
That's a good question.
Early on.
Just as I was saying before, I always thought there was a certain amount that I needed to put in, but I think today's brokerages are so good at even fractional orders. So for those who don't know what that means, is if the price of a ETF or a single stock, just hypothetically, is $40, you can put $20 and buy $20 worth of that $40 share, right? And so you would get in decimals that order. And I wish I did that more earlier because at that time I didn't know that you could do fractionals. Mm-hmm. And so I would always try to save $40 and then try to put $40 in. Mm-hmm. And then I would keep missing it. And I would be like, oh my God, the stock's going up. And so I don't have that much. I can't put it in. But I think that feature also was more recent within Wealthsimple at least. That was one. Another thing was, I want to talk about the emergency fund. Mm-hmm. The emergency fund is very, very important. Yeah. You should not, and this is not financial advice, but this is something that I have not done and I don't want to do and I've been told not to do, but take all your emergency savings and then put it into a high risk product, right? Yeah, like a stock exchange or even real estate. Yeah. You should have, I think there's a percentage based off of a rule.
Or there's even you can keep a certain number of months of income.
Exactly.
In case you lose your job, you have some back.
I'll say at minimum at least 6 months. Yeah. In a high interest savings account. Right. So when I first started, I felt like I could take more risk, and so I put a lot more there. But I would have, in retrospect, filled up my emergency fund first. Mm-hmm. And then went into the high risk stuff. And then the last piece of advice that I wish that I did earlier is just put in small amounts. You don't think that you need $1,000 in order to put into a high risk. You can have $10. It's just about doing it and putting it in and seeing trends. And I think this type of personal finance is you fail and you learn. As much as people are gonna teach you, you don't actually learn till you lose something.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
100%.
And as much as you can hear from other people, oh, do this, do that. A lot of my friends were telling me, okay, just invest in this, invest in that. I'm similar to you, Hussein. Like, it's my money.
Yeah.
I need to learn. Like,
Yeah.
there's no point in trusting other people with
Yeah.
my money. I'm
Right.
not investing thousands of dollars trying to build generational
Yeah.
wealth
I agree.
on other people's
I
advice.
agree.
Because
I
then,
agree.
even
Yeah.
if you make a mistake, then you're just gonna blame
Blame
them.
them. Yeah.
So at least if you do your own research, you make your own mistakes, then you can learn, and you can then it feels better too when you do, succeed.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because like, obviously your friends want the best for you, and like they have the best of intentions when they're like suggesting and offering things. But obviously the way you invest is going to be very different from the way your best friend will invest. Like their portfolio, their budget, like everything's different.
Everyone's personal finance is different.
Different, right? Like you can say, oh, well, this one's really hot right now. You should look at it. But like again, like these are then you get into that thing of like timing, and it's like I don't want to get into that game of like, oh, I'm gonna pick this up, and then you're gonna stress about watching. Like that's just not my like personal style. So for me, it's like I'd rather just like not worry about it as much and just know that it's there in the background in case I need it. And it's something I'll track like once in a while, but it's not something I'm gonna obsess over. Like, oh my god, like Apple's gone down so much today, I need to buy. Like I don't care about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like for me, I've never been somebody that really tries to focus on that, because I know that at the end of the day, like whatever you invest in, at the end of the day, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're gonna the stock market historically is gonna go to the upper right quadrant. So
what when we think about, I know we've been leaning a lot towards the high risk product side, so like which is like the stock market, the real estate. But even in your day to day, let's talk a little bit about the credit card debt, right? Like that, that's a like that like as a kid, you don't really understand the interest that gets on your credit card payments and all that stuff. So let's crack that code a little bit, because I think that's something that we all can resonate with. Like we've all been to a position where we've had our first credit card and we've swiped it, and we've like just kept swiping it for different things that we've wanted. But do you guys have any stories there?
You can start off. No, you seem to be having a lot of stories.
No. I mean, for me, it's just like I never understood when I was younger that the concept of interest, right? And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, where they see like these interest rates, or like you're getting hit with interest, and you see them, and it's like such like at the time I felt like, oh, it's such a minimal amount, but then when you're doing it again and again, and you're compounding, and it's like you're compounding your interest, and then even like with buying a house and stuff, you get hit with ridiculous amount of interest rates, and you're paying interest to the banks, and you don't realize until you actually like mathematically type it out in an Excel sheet as to like how much interest money goes towards, how much money you're paying in interest. And it's actually really frightening. But at that time, I didn't really realize. So for example, one time I went on a trip to Africa when I went to Zambia, and I was using my credit card.
Wait, did you have foreign exchange or no?
No, shoot. I was super young at the time, right? Yeah. And I think I was like in my teenagers, and I was just tapping.
And that experience probably took USD
too, right? So, and then when I see like how much I had to pay in like extra charges, I had a heart attack. So I learned it the hard way. But I think interest is like one of those like things where it seems simple, but if you don't really fully understand like the intricacies of it, you can get screwed.
Yeah. It was later in my credit card journey where I kind of learned that you have 22 days that you have until the interest starts to incur on the product or the purchase that you made. I didn't realize that until later. I thought it was just every billing cycle, but it's not. It's 22 days for whatever reason. And I'm sure if you're the audience and you're listening and you know the reason why, please tell us. But and another thing was that 18%.
Yes.
Like, it was at that 18, 19. I didn't fully understand. It was like, how does this work? Is it every day? Is it on the final purchase or whatever? But there were some of the nuances that I didn't understand.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I think I had a very healthy mindset with credit cards. I actually got a credit card very late in life. Like, to me, I was like, why? My parents always passed on to me, like, don't spend money you don't have. So I always relied on my debit card. And I only got a credit
I've heard
card.
that so many times. I love that statement.
Yeah, and so I only got a credit card because when I realized there are a lot of benefits of owning a credit card, building your credit score, there's a lot of perks as well with, that credit card companies are offering with, like points and loyalty programs and whatnot. So Definitely a lot of benefits of having a credit card, but I think the mindset I have is just spend what I have. So I never go above what I have in my savings.
Right.
I actually have it tied automatically. So I have my credit card, I accumulate debt through my credit card, but it automatically gets paid through my checking account. And I never, my credit card never is higher than what's in my checking account.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Whatever you're coming in, it doesn't ever exceed whatever's coming in.
Right.
Exactly.
So, I mean, now that we've kind of shared what these different products and investment and what finance means to us, let's take it to the next level. So, you know, if you're talking to someone who's younger than you or even older than you, because let's get rid of this FOMO mindset. Like there might be an audience member, someone that that's listening to this, that's thinking, you know, personal finance, it's important. I don't know what to do. I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s. You can be in your 80s and you're listening to this. For someone who's just starting to invest, what would your approach be? If you were to do this tomorrow for the first time, how are you approaching this?
Yeah. So for me, it's just start. Like I was saying earlier, it's time in the market is so key.
Yeah.
So just get in. You know, whether it's $20, $40, like $4,000, no matter how much money it is, just get in.
And talk about some of the products that you would use in order to get in.
Yeah. So some of the products that, you know, I think, so I bank with TD Bank. Maybe we'll get them as a sponsor one day, but so go to your local bank. There's a lot of free products out there. You don't have to open up, you know, an investment portfolio per se. I know TD Bank has a lot of mutual funds that you can get for free. Like they have a TD E-Series that you can just get for free. So my main advice for investing is ETFs or mutual funds. That's your.
So what does that mean? Are you able to kind of describe what that is?
I can get more into that. So it's pretty much like a basket of stocks or companies that you get. And so instead of taking on the risk of buying an individual
Facebook,
stock,
Amazon,
exactly.
Apple, Netflix,
you're getting all of them. So if one drops, that's fine. Most of them, if not all of them, over time should go up.
Right.
So even if Tesla gets a hit, like it has recently, you're not feeling that as much.
Right.
And so that's what I would recommend to new investors is ETFs, mutual funds. It's low risk, but at the same time, you're still getting a lot of returns. It's better than having it in your savings account.
Right.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah. So for me, I think I would get into the market earlier, but for me, I would have liked to have gotten into the real estate market earlier, instead of waiting so long. Because I've seen now the value of putting money into land, and I've seen like just especially in Ontario and in Canada, where like our real estate market is just right now it's down. But I mean, they've always said the real estate market's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's never really completely crashed, but it's always real estate's always been super hot. And in Canada, I feel like it'll rebound eventually. It's just going through one of those lulls right now, but. For me, it would be getting into the real estate market quicker and earlier, and not being so scared to put money in. So for me, I'm more on that real estate belief more than like I mean like the stock market's fine and whatnot, and it's great to diversify, I guess, your personal finances. But for me, I'm a huge believer in real estate.
Within all the areas that you can invest right now in today's time, if you had all the money, how are you approaching it?
Yeah, I'm putting into pre-construction projects and whatnot, and land, especially specifically in Toronto. Even though like I've seen like I always read like our friend Ali's like his reports and followed his development projects, and there's been a lot of really cool development projects happening in Waterloo, where I went Waterloo Laurier area where I went to school, and even in it's starting to get really hot out in like in Barrie and all these other areas as well. As people have like left Toronto, they've actually taken a lot of their business and investments in the surrounding areas, which is why the surrounding areas have really become really hot and popular. Obviously right now I feel like we're in a soft recession at this point. So if it's not, the real estate market's kind of bad right now.
You said the R word.
but again, like
tomorrow on Toronto Star.
Yeah, but again, it's like that thing where it's like you can't fall into that trap of like getting down on these lulls that these markets obviously will go through. With so much politics around our world today, and with everything that's going on in the world, there's gonna be natural natural down points. But you just have to have that mindset and that vision that I'm thinking long term. It's like the long term game that you got to play with this. So you got to be comfortable like being okay not having that money in your checking account.
For sure. I'm going to take it a bit of a tangent here,
Yeah.
but you know, we're speaking a lot about like information. You know, you said, you know, for real estate, we're mentioning Ali.
Yeah.
You know, I talked about stocks. You know, I got a lot of information
Right.
from my friends.
Right.
I did a lot of research myself.
Yes, of course.
But for people who are looking into, you know, investing now, like where can they look into, like for you?
What are the resources?
Yeah, what are resources that people can look into?
Yeah, it's great. So for me, I always try and I ask people who are close to me, like people that I trust. I think like trust is really important when it comes to your money. Like you want to, you know, go to people who know have your best intention at heart,
Or who can be honest.
and who are going to be honest with you. A lot of people feel like, yeah, like maybe banks are not that type of go-to for a lot of individuals. So my recommendation is find those people in your networks and in your groups who, and it doesn't have to be your friends. It could be your professional network, people you trust at work, your LinkedIn individuals. Like reach out to people who you feel have like a good mind and good head on for business, and just have open conversations with them. Start to like pick their brain as to like, you know, where should I put my money? What do you think? What do you suggest? So for me, that's what I've done. Like I've picked the brains of like different people that I trust. I take it in and I roll with it. Like they obviously give me resources to follow that they obviously trust. So I'll check out their resources as well. I'll do my own research online. And I think it's going to take time. Like it's not something that you just want to rush into. I think it's going to take time, and you have to put in that work, like of educating yourself. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I know I've gone through countless hours of spending time on YouTube and looking at different resources on people who I can kind of feel like are giving you like solid information, and obviously you want to make sure that their resources and the information they're giving you is credible. But I think it really starts with, you know, starting small within your immediate network and trying to find those, you know, resources that they can suggest and offer, and then kind of going from there. So before you do anything, I think educating yourself and kind of getting started by researching and analyzing, I think is like the most important step.
100%. And just to add to this, and maybe I want your perspective as well, but also like verifying people's information.
Yes,
credibility.
Super important.
Because there are a lot of people nowadays who are just trying to sell a quick product. You know, back when like the whole meme stock kind of thing, invest in, you know, GameStop, you know, crypto, it's going to blow up. You know, there are a lot of people who are, you know, they may be right or wrong, but, you know, nowadays a lot of people are trying to make a quick buck.
Right.
And just do your research, you know, before investing.
Yes.
Because nowadays, you know, word spreads, people just invest. You trust somebody, and it may tank. So just verifying your information.
Yeah.
Thinking about kind of how I would go about it in today's time, I think there's three separate things. Like, you know, if I had some money and I wanted to just do something with it, I think there's three things that I would do. Number one is, as I mentioned prior to, is make sure that I cap up my emergency funds. I think that specific time that we're in now is so economically uncertain that, you know, people are getting laid off, things are getting a lot more expensive. And so making sure that, and especially if you have products like a mortgage or anything like that, you want to make sure that you have enough coverage in order to cover those. So before I'm looking into real estate, before I'm looking into stock exchange, before I'm looking into any of these high risk products, I'm making sure that I have coverage for the next 6 months of that. So that would be my first kind of the cap off emergency funds.
So do you think would you recommend people to like get serious and make like a budget,
100%.
like an Excel budget, or like I'm sure we all have that, like we all track our finances.
Yeah.
Like
my biggest recommendation, this is something I'm doing now too on an Excel tracker, and it's making sure that I'm able to somewhat predict or forecast what the next 6 months could look like, right? And so if I look at the past 6 months and I determine that I've been spending a lot on entertainment or spending a lot on clothing, or if I'm spending a lot more on, you know, services like Spotify, Netflix, and all that stuff.
Right.
If I were to maintain that for the next 6, but also take $200 out for my emergency, where am I? You know, am I at zero or am I at negative 200 because I took out more than I should have? And so if I did that, then I maybe need to shut down my Netflix or Spotify. So having some form of a tool that you can forecast or predict the next 6 months. If you're over the top, do a year, like why not? But having some form of a foresight is, now again, not everything is going to be the way that you forecast it. These are all things that will bring you some form of calm. At the end of the day, you do it for yourself. but it's going to be important for you to do it. So I think just tracking that. So first, just cap off your emergency funds. It's very important.
And to add to that, emergency fund, like where are you putting that emergency fund?
That's a good question. Yeah. So there's really high risk interest accounts nowadays. Personally, I have my big bank account, right? So I have that Scotia, TD, RBC, like those accounts are there. But I really like EQ. So Equitable Bank is my go-to choice bank. They don't take monthly charges. They have high risk interest high interest saving accounts. So I park my emergency funds there. And then Tangerine is another one that does high. Simply is another one that doesn't take, that monthly $14, $15, $16. And so you can have that money sitting there. So that's what I use EQ to make sure that I get that high savings account there. And then my next option would be to look into the high risk pool. In the high risk pool, I would go into, as you would do, ETFs. Within ETFs, I would go even deeper to dividends. And so dividend stocks, for those who don't know, are stocks where the company pays you a small percentage of their total overall earnings every, quarter, monthly, annual, 3 months. It's based off of the reporting of the company. But what that does is that, if you're putting in, if you're buying, so, just openly, very transparently, I own a stock called Enbridge. Enbridge gives you, I'm not sure what it is, I don't remember. Don't quote me on this, but it's either quarterly or annually. It gives you dividend. And so it gives you like $2, $3, $4 every single 6 months, 4 years per stock. So if you own a lot of the stock, you're seeing a lot of the dividends come in. And what you just do is you reinvest those dividends back into that stock. And so what you're doing is you're kind of earning and then you're and so that interest is that dividend earned is money that you got and then you put it back in and it's not coming out of your own money in from your income. And so these are different avenues that you can look into. So I know some people who are just dividend stalker, like stock experts. Like that's all they do. Yeah. All they do is just buy a lot of stocks that give dividends, take those dividends and then kind of reinvest them back into that stock. So that's one approach. Another approach I think I really appreciate is I think just looking at the Canadian equivalent of a US ETF. So it's not a lot of people can afford USD stock. So the QQQ has the QCC. Is that the name of the ETF? But the ticker there's a Canadian ticker for USD ETFs that you can benefit from because they almost function the same way or they're being tracked the same way. That's another avenue. And then the last pool, if I have some additional just savings. And this also depends on how much it is. But then it would be looking into the very high risk, which would be that real estate. Yeah. And then if I have even more, then I want to tap into this whole new ball game of angel investing, which is like investing into startups and companies, which fingers crossed, that's the long-term dream. But kind of those are the stages that I would take in order to, if you're someone who has capital and you're looking at this path that I just described and you're just like, I'm at my emergency. I already capped off however I made. That's totally fine. But at least do it, right? Yeah. So do it so you can feel secure. Once you've capped off your emergency bucket, then maybe your next 5 paychecks, you can look into the next pool, which is like, that the stock exchange, the single stocks or the ETFs or the dividends or all these other products that exist out there. So kind of that's how I would kind of project it over the different products.
So I have a question for you guys. So we're addressing a lot to the beginner investors, people who are wanting to get in or just starting off. But for people who have been investing for maybe a few years or maybe are on our level, what advice would you give to them? Like a question I have for you guys is how much would you say is the right percentage to put into savings versus, spending?
I don't think I have an answer. I think this is something that I'm learning myself. Right? I would love in future episodes, maybe we can have someone
kind of teach us about
Yeah, exactly. But for me, I'm using those percentages or those theoretical rules that, those who are in finance have deemed that work. I don't know. What's the rule? So 60, 20, 20?
So for me, I save 20%.
20% of your total salary.
Yeah, total of my salary. Every month, 20% goes into my investment. I automate it, so I don't even have to worry about it. I don't leave it up to manual, because if you try to manual, do it
your inner demons say don't do it.
Yeah. Do I want to go on a trip, or do I want to put this into an account that I'll never see? So don't leave it up to your own sheer will. Just automate it if possible. But I invest 20%. I used to invest 10%, but then a lot of people were like, oh, that's not enough. And I mean, there's no one right answer. It really depends on where you are financially.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, I think it depends where you are in life, because for me, like, we just recently moved into a new place, so month to month we've been really tight with trying to make sure we can afford our mortgage payments, and then we have like groceries and car payments and insurance
and a little lion in your house.
Yeah, and Simba. And, and it's like and we also want to like save for trips and stuff. So for us, it's been for me personally, it's been the investments have actually taken a backseat to everything, even in my
which is okay,
which is totally fine. It's just right now I'm not in a phase where I can really put a lot of money towards investments, but that's not to say that I will not go back to it. But right now it's just I've been in a little bit of a freeze, because obviously you can't really do. I feel like in today's economy it's hard to do anything without having like help. You know what I mean? Like, so my parents have helped me out a lot.
100%.
So my priority is like making sure I make them whole and give them back. That's like my number one priority.
You brought in a topic that is so important. So if I were to go back into that those kind of areas that I talked about before, so in between emergency fund and like stock market and like putting your money into stock exchange, would actually be putting in money to pay off your debt.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the number one.
That's
thing.
the number one. Like, you have to pay off your debt.
Like if you're, I think, in my opinion, I think you should have an emergency account, just because you don't know what the future holds. But whatever debt you have, pay that off next.
As soon as possible.
Because what you were just saying, like, saving is good, and maybe you can put $10 in the future. You can put 25. But if you have $25 sitting in your hands right now, and you're like, what do I do with this? Out of the 25, 20 should go into debt and 5 should go into savings.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's such a necessity.
Yeah, it's true. Like you don't want to be in a situation where you God forbid lose your job or something, and then you realize that you have all this debt that you gotta like cover, plus your costs, your
current assets. Yeah.
Because then that's when you can really get into like some really deep trouble. So trying to pay off your debt, whether it's like car pay, like car payments or anything like that, or paying off individuals who've lent you money, that's like should be your number one priority, is wiping debt off of your slate.
And just sheer numbers, like in the stock market, you make 7%. In real estate, it's probably 5 to 6%. Yeah. But your debt is way more than
more.
So it's like just number wise, like just the math, like you got to go with the higher percentage.
The math is math in this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting, good point that you brought up.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So
I think we
kind of going or ending the podcast just because we were almost at time. But what is something that you guys are thinking about? I think there's trends that are coming about now with like crypto.
Yeah.
Well, they're not coming about now. They've been up and down so long, like crypto.
But there's always something.
There's always something.
How do you keep confidence within yourself, within your personal finances? Even this conversation now is very different than what our parents had a conversation with, right? Or what our past ancestors were going through. But what does this mean for your future? What are you guys thinking about as you kind of look into the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and so forth?
Yeah, I'll start.
What's the optimal goal here?
The goal, to me, is to build generational wealth. I'm in a situation where my spouse has a lot of school debt right now. Yeah. So, like we just said, debt is number one. Pay off debt is the main thing. But I think for me personally on my financial journey is to not just maintain, but to grow. And in order to do that, I need to keep learning. So whether it's through friends or podcasts such as this, I'm always trying to learn. Doing my own research and making mistakes and learning that way. So, even in the crypto game, I was pretty late. A lot of my friends were early into the crypto game, and I was kind of skeptical.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical.
Yeah, I am a little bit too. And I think with crypto per se, I think just find a specific percentage and put that. I don't know if I would put 100%.
At your own discretion.
Yeah,
like,
at your discretion.
We are also trying to figure this out at the same time as you are.
And we're not giving you guys financial advice.
This is not financial advice at all.
Don't blame us.
Definitely. But me personally, I think for me, I put 5% into crypto. But coming back to it, I think it's just learning and growing.
Yeah. How about you? What are you doing this for? What is the...
Yeah, my goal is honestly for like similar to you is because I think we're at that stage in life where it's for me it's future generations and building that wealth, but it's also like looking at the past and like honoring what my parents have gone through. So for me, it's kind of like trying to take care of them, but also like build and save for the future. So for me, it's like a mix of both. Is making sure that I have enough for people that I care about that are here now, but then maybe one day for future kids that may come our way. So that's like the main goal right now is literally just thinking about future generations, but also looking after my parents.
You guys both did solid things. I think I'm just a mix of both of you guys, right? Like I'm trying to work towards that generational wealth because I never saw it, and it hurts when you don't see it because there's a lot of work you have to do in order to do it. So knowing that feeling, I don't want my kids to experience that in the future, and so I'm trying to create those guardrails for them in order for them to stay focused on things that matter, like having higher education, creating bigger impact, and making an impact in this world in an easier way than I did or my parents did. Taking care of the parents is huge. My parents had no idea about products like RRSP or anything like that, and so they never actually took use of those products. And so, when they hit that age of 63, I need to be sure that I'm prepared in order to fund them financially, because I would like for them to not work after 63 when they retire. If they want to, and I know that my dad will, as we started this podcast, he can, for sure. But, he can also take off when he feels like he doesn't need to work. Right. And he needs to have that financial backing, and I hope to support him that way. And also, kind of really personally, like, I want to be able to save enough personal finance so I can also luxuriously be able to live a quality of life that I want to live, right? Our parents are still hustling, grinding, trying to make their own lives, kind of what they want to make it. Now that we know or can define that or articulate it, I want to be able to live it by the end. So that's the goal. That was a wicked episode. We are definitely over our time that we expected to go. But the thing is, like, now that I think about it, if we like consider Joe Rogan or all these different podcasters, now I know why they can talk for 2 hours.
Yeah, especially when you're in person, like you can just talk forever.
So I mean, if you're listening to this, let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts, and that's a wrap on this ride. Thanks for hopping off the rickshaw with us, where the conversations are as chaotic and comforting as a family WhatsApp group chat at 2 a.m. If you laughed, felt seen, or enjoyed the vibe, show us some love. Follow, share, drop a review, or send this to one cousin who always just needs to chill. If you got a topic that you want us to unpack, or a hot take to share, slide into our DMs or hit the link in the show notes. We're listening, even if your parents or our parents are not. Until next time, stay brown, stay loud, and honestly, stay a little unfiltered. Peace.